Hey everyone, this is Bo. Welcome to the shop. In this video, we're going to be building a small entryway bench. It's going to be about 3 foot wide, about 1.5 feet in the other two directions. It's going to be made from solid oak, and it's going to be stained and not painted, which is great. What you see in front of you here is I have some lumber milled. This all started as 8-quarter oak. Some portions of that board have been resawn for the seat top. Yep. And what I'm doing here is I'm laying out the boards. I have 4 boards to choose from. I'm trying to lay out what looks visually best for the bench seat. Once I get that figured out, I'll start ripping the pieces to width for the bench seat, as well as for the stretchers and legs. And as well, I've got some template material back there. The stretchers will be getting some curve detail that we're going to do some template routing. Template routing. So stay tuned, follow on with the build, and see how it turns out. All right, so I've just spent an embarrassingly long time laying out mortise locations in this bench. I'll explain why. So the legs will get, each joint's going to get 4 mortises and 4 tenons. 4 here, and the thickness of the material, so of the front rail and legs, they're not the same thickness intentionally. And so there's a different offset between the surfaces from this surface to this surface. Same for here. There's a different, I want to still center this, and there's a different thickness from surface to surface. Or I'm sorry, a different offset from surface to surface. So that drove a couple different setups on the domino. And then as well, for these mortises that are going in the sides like this, I need to push them away from these mortises on the front side so they don't interfere, so they're actually offset in the thickness of this piece. So I've laid all these out, pencil, using the domino, using the dock here helps kind of visually lay out where those mortises should go. And I've written them all down about how far the bottom of the domino has to be away from the fence. I've got those all set, and then to establish the correct offset between the rail and the leg, I've got some playing cards that are black as shims that will lift the base of the domino up to pull the mortise closer to the edge for my rail section since they're skinnier. So I've got one for the front since there's not as big of an offset there, and then one for the side that's a lot larger offset. I hope I got it right. We're going to find out. So here we go. So we are currently fixing a mistake I made. I'll explain it here in a minute. So after I glued this up, I realized that some of my rails ended up, I don't know if you can see it in the camera, my rails are proud of the legs by a fair amount, by like probably a heavy 1/16. And I don't know, typically when I do dominoes, I take one half is going to be tight, and the other half has got the wider setting on it, so it allows me some adjustment. On this piece, since all the mortises were so close together and so packed in, I couldn't use the domino on the wider setting. They're all fixed. I don't know if that was part of it or if my layout was incorrect with the angles, if I screwed something up there. So anyway, I have to fix this, and this is a lot of material to have like sand off. I probably could plane it, hand plane it, but I thought I could also do it in the table saw. And so what I have here is a piece of MDF that I've set the fence and ripped that to be basically like a zero clearance type piece of wood. I have a little Kreg clamp mounted at the top of it, and what I'm able to do is mount this, set this on there, and kind of get my get the amount of material I want to remove lined up with the top of the edge of the board here, and then I can run this through the saw to remove that material pretty quickly and efficiently. And the blade's still set at the 5-degree angle, which matches the angle of this stretcher here and the legs. And I will demonstrate in a moment. I'll get this clamped down. Like so. I got a little bit of overhang there, a little bit there, okay. So I'll turn on the saw and we will cut this thing down to size. Or not size, but fix my mistake. So I'll set up the camera. All right, so I'm here fixing, well, I shouldn't say a mistake, but a change. The top that I had made for this was a little under an inch, like maybe 7/8 of an inch thick. Client didn't like that look. They'd like it thicker. So I did remake the top. It's now a full 1.5 inches thick. But my base for my bench is now too tall. The desired height is 18 inches, so now it's about 3/4 of an inch too tall. So I have to cut it down in height. And so what I have here, I used this same little sled I used to cut down the excess on top. I'm just repurposing it and using it to cut down the legs. I flipped my little Kreg clamp here. I've drawn some marks where the height of the legs needs to be. As you can imagine, I'm cutting off about 3/4 of an inch from the legs. And I'm going to do this to both sides, and then I'll have to redo the champers and re-drill my leveling leg holes in the bottom, get them deeper, drill them deeper, so the leveler can recess all the way in if it needs to. So we're going to get this done, and then I think we're on to sanding and prepping for finish. So here we go. So we're at a stage where we're going to start applying some color to our bench. It has been sanded, wet down to raise the grain, and then sanded again. The client sent me the exact stain that they're using on their hardwood floors that they want their bench to match. This is what their hardwood floors look like. And so I'm going to move the camera and show you kind of the progression of stain samples I did to try to achieve this same look. Alright, so here's a sample here. And I used that same stain. This is oak, right? Should be pretty easy. Well, this is the first piece I did. That's quite a bit. This piece doesn't have the dark enough wood, and also it doesn't have any green tint to it, which is kind of odd. I thought the stain would have been part of that greenish color, but it didn't. At least as much in this wood. So I've tried some other things. Tried adding some dark umber. Tried adding a little bit of green to the umber. I then tried just umber on its own. I then started adding more and more green to it until I got pretty close. See, look, getting closer there, getting close down here. Flip it over. This one has a little bit too much green in it, but I'm in the right ballpark with that one. And so if I had any more sample boards, I might have done one more sample, toned down the green a bit, but I feel like I'm close enough here where I can start applying color to the bench. And what I'm using to do some of this base layer is trans tint green, trans tint, this is dark mission brown. Those two mixed together in distilled water. Use a foam brush, apply it, let it dry. If it's not dark enough or not green enough or too green, I'll apply another layer I'll apply another layer of trans tint over top of that that's maybe more brown, and we'll just build up the base color until we're ready to apply some stain on top of it. So here we go. We're going to get some gloves on, mix up some dye, and start applying our base color. All right, so I've got another coat of Armor Seal on the bench. It's sitting right next to me here. It is dry, so I can make some sawdust in the shop without having it settle on the finish, but it hasn't quite fully cured for me to move on to my next coat. So I'm gonna take this time to build a shipping crate for this bench. If I were to be like buying material for this to build a crate, I would be buying something like OSB, but I'm gonna try to use a bunch of scrap I have left in the shop here. I've got some MDF, some birch, some maple ply. And the inside of this crate, I should mention, is going to be lined with 1/2 inch rigid foam. It's gonna be a pretty tight fit. I'm gonna leave about a 1/4 inch gap all the way around the bench. But then that rigid foam gives something for it to maybe bounce up against and not damage the finish. So I've got my scrap saw out here. I'm gonna start laying out what I can cut from what piece. Yeah, here we go. So one more item to take care of here is attaching the base to the top, and I'm going to do that in a couple of ways. First one is to use a dowel. I'm going to use just 2 dowels here, one kind of on each side, to help with alignment, and then for any type of think of a shear load, like the bench falls over and this top hits the floor. At least these dowels can take a little bit of the shear load, and then I have a whole bunch of tabletop fasteners around the internal of the base. I'll bring you in for a sec to see those. It might be kind of hard to make out, but they're all around the perimeter. I've got what looks like 10 in total, so plenty. Or actually, no, I have 12 in total. So plenty of tabletop fasteners to hold the bench top on. Should be pretty secure, not too worried about it. And then got the leveling feet still installed here to help for any unevenness in the floor. So I'm going to go ahead and drill some dowel holes. I'm going to drill the hole in the base first, and then I'm going to use some dowel centers to put in those holes, and then I've got my tape here to tell me where to put the base back down. I'll put that down in the same location. I'll push the base into the bench top, and that should leave a little indentation where I know where to drill for the mating hole. So that's what we're gonna do now, and yeah, let's do it. All right, so the bench is complete. It's been assembled. It did get 4 coats of Armor Seal in total, because I don't know if I recorded all of this, but I got 4 coats of Armor Seal in total. That last coat I put on was extremely thin, so thin that by the time I was done done putting on the very last section of finish on one end, the first end was already starting to dry, and so that helps prevent dust nibs from accumulating and any of these little air bubbles accumulating from too thick a finish. So it is ready to go. It is finished. It's all assembled. The crate is also finished here. The only thing I did off camera was added the 1/2-inch rigid foam. So this 1/2-inch foam has just been glued with some Gorilla Glue, the polyurethane adhesive, to kind of just get the stick in place. Once the crate's in there, it's the rigid foam isn't going anywhere anyway. It's just gonna be stuck to the walls. After that 4th coat of finish dried, there was still a couple rough spots, and so this is 4-0-0-0-0 steel wool. I was able to rub that down and get off some of the more objectionable areas, and still maintain a pretty consistent sheen on the top and the legs. The legs were never really too bad, it's just the top had some dust and some little air bubbles on them. But I was able to get all that out. It's nice and smooth now. And so it is ready to get put into the crate. And then it'll get shipped out, I think on Monday. I'll have someone come pick it up. For those of you that are like me, a very small, just me in my garage shipping furniture, I don't do it very often, but when I do, I've found success with UShip, the website, the letter U, ship. This is my second piece I've shipped out west. It seems like UShip is the most economical way to do it. The other big carriers, they're more equipped to handle business needs and have loading docks and things like that. So, excuse me. Whoa. So thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you had a question or a comment, please leave that as well. If you want to see my future projects, got a couple coming up here, please subscribe. And thanks for watching again, and have a good one.